There we go. Look, it shows the house. So we've got the license. We have found a builder that we're very happy with. We've signed a contract. And we're going to start building on the 10th of January.
Yay!
6 months ago, we made a big announcement that we've got the license and we're going to start this restoration project. However, that wasn't actually the real license. That was approval for the project. And to get the real license, the actual license, we had to have the builder lined up and all the paperwork from the builder, his building license, his insurance, his health and safety plan, all of that had to be submitted to the council, the Camera, and then they would issue us with the actual license to say what we could build.
Plus the €1,200.
Ah, yes. Plus payment.
But once we got that, it only took 2 weeks. We discussed the project with several builders.
We did. That took a little bit of time. And once we'd chosen the builder, there was a bit of contract negotiation to do, a few changes we wanted, and a few changes to the proposal, the quotes, until we had what we wanted and what he was happy with. And then we submitted all of that and paid the money and got the actual license.
But we've never really held this license, but it's there and everything is going ahead now. It's all good to go.
Yeah, we're going to go and have some coffee now. It may be one of the last coffees we share with you from the veranda, but we're going to enjoy it while we can.
Are you still in the rental?
Yes, we're still in the rental house. We're very happy there. We're very comfortable. It's a great home to be living in until this house is ready, which is going to be some time. Will we have guests?
Well, probably just friends and family. We have no real intention of having paying guests. That's not our plan. We have a 2-bedroom house and that's kind of enough for us.
It's not our dream to run a bed and breakfast or a guest house or anything like that.
What are your long-term plans for the land? So what are our plans for the land long-term? Essentially to create a big, beautiful edible garden. Something with trees, fruit trees, nut trees, citrus trees and the olives, and vegetables, both annuals and perennials, flowers and herbs, and the odd spice. And of course, places to sit and relax. Let's go. We got a question here. How do we stop critters from killing or eating us? There's nothing here that actually would kill us, but mosquitoes are a different story. They eat us alive. What we do to avoid them is not start work at dusk or at dawn. Although in the summertime, I have to be careful, I might tramp on Dan's seeds. In the summertime, when we have to water late in the evening, we do get eaten a lot. So we tend to wear long sleeves, long trousers. How much of your own food do you grow?
Well, quite a lot. From June to October, we hardly buy any vegetables. We do buy carrots and bananas. Other than that, we're mainly eating food that we have grown.
So is there something that you can't grow or that you won't grow?
We can't grow carrots. Carrots need a looser, sandier soil, and our soil is more clay.
Is there anything that we won't grow? Carrots. There's no point. We've tried growing carrots. We just get deformed, stumpy things that are not really worth the effort.
Yeah. I've got big ideas for sunflower seeds and sunflower oil. Meraid rolls her eyes around at the thought of it. I also have big plans to grow my own hummus. She laughs at that again. Over there I'm going to be planting up the sesame seed bed and some more chickpeas.
Yeah, well, let's hope you're not away working in the heat of the summer when I'm left watering everything.
Luckily the sesame seeds don't need much water.
Yeah, we say that about a whole lot of things. Remember the potatoes? Can we eat all the food that we grow?
Most of it, yes. When we have an excess, we swap it for things that we haven't got, such as eggs. We haven't found anyone with any carrots to swap yet. If it's too much to eat when it's fresh, we try and preserve it, so we've got more of our own produce for the winter.
But produce. Don't know, I think he's been watching too many American YouTube channels. We say produce.
Produce.
And on that note, tomatoes, honest to goodness, we just eat tomatoes every single day from June to October, twice a day. So what we tend to do is when we have a lot of food that's been produced, all our meals consist of those items. Like in the beginning when we had our potatoes, we ate potatoes all the time and we made lots of potato dishes so that we could use them up. Because we're in the rental house, we don't have enough space to store our root crops like that. And as you know, we were expecting to start the house 6 months ago. Well, we sell food. Well, we don't really have any intentions to sell food. We often joke about farming this and farming that, you know, we're not going to be peanut farmers, loofah farmers, but that's just a little joke.
Or saffron.
Or saffron. These are all things that we're really just planning to grow for ourselves.
And if we have enough, or if we have excess, then we'll swap it for things that we don't have.
Mm-hmm. How is our asparagus plantation doing? Well, let's just have a quick look. The asparagus did really well, and it's now time to cut back some of the dead stalks, only because they're starting to rock, and I don't want to damage any of their roots. We haven't harvested any because the roots need to establish for at least 2 years, although we might take a little sneaky portion next spring just to give it a test, you know, in case it's awful and we have to pull it all out, which is extremely unlikely.
Am I the head chef? I cook the dinners and the breakfast as well. Meraid, however, she is the baker, the dessert maker and the preserver. But tomorrow I'm not going to be the head chef because it's my birthday.
And I've made him something really special for his birthday.
What did we do before moving to Portugal?
So about 20 years ago, I was a software engineer. And then I managed a Citizens Advice Bureau. And after that, when I moved to the UK, I started working in the marine industry, but I also became a grower. I grew herbs and flowers and cacti and succulents and sold them at a little market stall. I did mail order, succulent business.
What's Dan's day job? Well, I work as a project manager for a company in the UK which manufactures equipment for ships, yachts, and other vessels. Before we moved to Portugal, I did the same job as I do now, only now I do it remotely and work from the office in the rental house. Before I worked for this company, I worked for a company restoring wooden yachts, both sailing yachts and motor yachts, and I did a long project in Hamburg, and I saved up all of my overtime as time, and I had almost a year off, and I went sailing with my boat, and that leads on to the next question. How did we meet?
6 months before Dan headed off on his sailing trip, I was sitting in Ireland thinking about what my plans and goals were for my life. And one of them was that I was going to go sailing around the world, because I'd been thinking about that since I was a child. However, I'd never actually been sailing. I thought to myself, well, I better go sailing and see if I even like this. So I did, and I liked it. And then I met this Alaskan rocket scientist, and we went sailing. So he was coming from Antarctica and heading to the Arctic, and after that going to Argentina, which suited me perfectly well, because I thought, oh, I can learn how to do the Argentine tango. John and I sailed beyond the Arctic Circle, and on the way back south we stopped in Bayona in Spain, and it was December actually.
It was just after my birthday.
So it's almost our anniversary as
Yeah.
well, yeah. So we stopped in Bayona, and that's where I met Dan.
I was there with my friend Alex, who had met John in Ushuaia. We started chatting with John and Meraid. I realised Meraid was the most beautiful woman in the room.
I was the only woman in the room, but I'll take that.
And a couple of weeks later,
Yeah,
we met again in the Algarve in Portimao, and I invited Meraid out for a drink along the beach.
Yeah, it was really romantic, I have to say. It was. He said, would you like to come? Let's go for a walk along the beach. And I thought that was romantic enough in itself. So we went into this little kind of beach shack for a glass of wine, and yeah, it was really lovely. I wasn't exactly out there searching, looking for love, but I found it, and that's how we met. And a few days later, we decided we'd go sailing together, and that's what we did. And we continued on sailing, and eventually, when we decided to get back, I sailed on to Brazil with John. We took a little break, and so I'd spent, what was it, about 5 weeks sailing to Brazil, and yeah, 2 weeks to get to the Cape Verdes, and another 21 days to get from Cape Verde to Brazil. And then I spent another month in Brazil, and then I came back to meet Dan in the Azores, and we spent several months in the Azores. And, you know, honest to goodness, we just couldn't help but fall in love with everything. It was a romantic place. Everything was beautiful. Our lives were just very simple. And Dan asked me to sail back to the UK with him.
Done 141 miles in the last 24 hours.
And that's how I ended up moving to the UK. I came back to the UK. I had €200 left after that year-long trip.
I had my job to go back to.
Yes, and we had nowhere to live, but that's another story. So we spent our time on the boat.
When we made the decision to move away from the UK, I decided we would sell the boat and use the funds from the boat, modest as they were.
Yeah, all £5,000 of what we got.
To fund our Portugal.
Yeah, so sometimes, I know sometimes people think, oh, these people have yachts and boats, but 5,000, it was less than the price of a car. How long have we been together? No, so that was in 2010. So I suppose we're in the first flush of young love. And the other question was, so that was, how long have we been married?
We're not married, but we've been together for 13 years. Will we get chickens or goats? No. Other people have chickens and goats. We can't do everything. We will swap our vegetable excess for eggs and other produce we want. Hopefully the cat will come from the rental house and join us. What was our most difficult challenge? The most difficult thing and the most expensive thing was matriculating the car. We did our research before we brought the car. We knew that second-hand cars were expensive in Portugal. We knew that we met all the requirements to import it into Portugal without having to pay tax. We took advice from other Portuguese YouTubers who tried to matriculate their vehicle, and they said, get an agent. It is such a difficult process, even for a native Portuguese speaker. Get an agent to do this for you. So we went out and we got an agent. It took us a couple of months to get all the bits of paperwork together, some of which we had to pay for. We had the car went through its test. We had to make some modifications to the car with the headlights pointing in the right direction and the fog light being on the correct side of the car. And we submitted all the paperwork to the agent. A couple of weeks after we submitted everything, we were informed that it was in the process. And we chased again and we were told it's in the process, it takes some time. While we're in the process, we were unable to drive the car. Eventually, we got a letter from the customs to say that the matriculation was underway. About 4 weeks later, we got a letter to say that the process had been started beyond the time limit. We had 12 months from when we first moved to Portugal in order to begin the process. And we discovered that the agent had done nothing with our paperwork for 7 months. And so we were 2 weeks beyond the deadline for submitting the paperwork to get tax relief. The long and short of it is, we had a few options to matriculate the car. We could scrap the car, we could re-export the car, we could abandon the car to the state, or we could pay the tax. And the tax was almost 5,000 euros. Now, we weren't very happy about this. However, to replace the car with a similar vehicle would have cost us nearly 10,000 euros. So we paid the tax. The ongoing challenge is learning Portuguese.
I'm at lessons.
But I'm busy with my day job when all the lessons are on.
Last week, I had to stand in front of an audience and recite a poem in Portuguese. Então, balada de neve, todos fugir. Bate-me leve, leva-me onde com quem chama por mim. Céu a chuva, céu a gente, gente não é, certamente, é a chuva não bate assim. Doing that was both a challenge and a privilege at the same time. I feel really good that we're kind of starting to get into the culture and just start enjoying the language.
Are those your own teeth?
Somebody did ask, are they my own teeth? Well, yes, but I do have a couple of crowns.
Financially, have we made the right decision?
Well, I think absolutely. Although costs have increased, costs of materials, costs of everything have increased since we arrived in Portugal 3 years ago, it's still a better option for us than what we were faced with before. Quite recently, I noticed that a house in the same street where we were renting before is 50% more than it was 3 years ago. So for us, that would have left us in a position of never being able to go anywhere. We just wouldn't have been able to save any money. So yeah, that's the answer to that one.
Have our lives changed for the better? Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What's the best thing about our new lives in Portugal? We've got living space, we've got growing space, we've got space to grow in our lives and do the things that we want.
We've got friends, social life, real sense of community and belonging, and I think total contentment. Contentment?
Yeah.
Contentment.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely contentment.
Hot summers?
Hot summers isn't the best.
No. That's
a bit of a challenge that we
Yes,
didn't mention, but that's tough.
one of the best things is we're always working on our own land towards making something better for ourselves.
It's a real sense of achievement and fulfillment.
Yeah.
Every single day.
And it's lasting and long lasting, and it will last.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we don't get tired of it or anything. We get tired, but not tired of it.
Yes, we do see this as our forever home, but what is forever? We're certainly not restoring this house to make a profit. We're restoring it to live in it for as long as we
want to.
As long as we want to. As long as we're happy here.
Will you move back once you can't manage? I'm from Ireland and Dan's from the UK. So moving back, I don't know where we would move back to because we don't have anything anywhere else. This is all we've got in the world. This is our only asset, if you wish.
Yeah.
If we couldn't manage something here, well, we wouldn't really be able to manage it anywhere else. We'll get some help, hire help, and or just ask for help. But we expect to be going until we can go no more.
Well,
until we're about 140. That's the plan. What do we miss about Ireland and the UK?
Friends, family and tea bags.
Not in any particular order.
Family, friends and tea bags.
Tea bags.
Tea bags, family,
Family
and
and
friends.
friends.
Definitely.
And do we have any regrets? What might we have done differently, or what other choices might we have made?
We would have had a different agent to matriculate the car. But we didn't know that, so we couldn't have known that.
I don't think we would have done anything differently, except maybe manage our expectations of to when we would actually get round to doing the house. And I think we would have bought a fridge and an oven a bit earlier.
Yeah, in the
Because
rental house.
in the rental house, we only had a tiny fridge. So this summer we bought a really big fridge, but one that we can move into this house when it's ready. And we bought a little sage oven because a regular oven, we had nowhere to put it. In the rental house, it's a little bit tight. Some people might say, oh, I wish I'd have done it earlier. I don't, because for me, earlier wasn't prepared or wasn't ready.
We were not in the position to do it.
Nor
earlier.
financially in the position to do it. So that's the end of the questions.
No, it's not.
Oh,
We've
no,
got
it's not.
one more question.
Yeah. And we've got one more question.
When will we move in?
Well, what if we told you that we'd be moving in for Christmas? Not Christmas in 2 weeks' time. Next Christmas. That's the plan. We might not be actually moving into a perfectly ready house, but it's as ready as we can, as our budget's allowing for at the moment. As we said at the very start of the video, we start work on the 10th of January. And remember to press the subscribe button and click the notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.